How's it going? So super quick video. Another dude, he just like messaged me and he basically, long story short, problems with adult websites. Right? Okay, fine. And the fundamental issue was, uh, a loss of control. It's like you become a different person, right? And that's kind of normal because humans fundamentally, when you go into like psychology, when you start psychology, you understand Sigmund Freud. He's we're talking about like psychotherapy analysis and stuff like that, right? Inside of you, there's fundamentally kind of like three people, right? That's kind of you. Then you have this side, which is the ID. It's called ID, and then you have the super ego, right? You can, I'm gonna link this in the description below. You can kind of read up on what they are fundamentally, but this is more of instincts, emotion, pleasure, and this is more of a logic, long-term. Like this is short-term thinking, this is long-term thinking, right? This is like greedy guy. People like will have like you see, like you just need to read on what they are and you will understand. I'm trying to move you towards being very balanced and have very healthy and constructive psychology, right? So for simplicity purposes, I suppose we can say that one side is good, one side is bad, right? So 95% of the time you want to be on this side, right? And you want to maybe keep this guy because sometimes he proposes some solutions that are, in certain situations, are actually viable. But you have to understand that this guy, the emotional side of you, is not designed in today's environment, for today's environment. Most of the time this stuff is designed for tribes of 50 to 100 people living in the jungle. So that's why I told you about the did you remember in Trinity Force, in Triforce, right? One sec. So you see, like I gave you the decision making tool to make constructive decisions. This is how you do it, right? So you see I have decision making. I always use it. This is the decision making guide I use. Oh, whoops, one sec. So this is your question. What is the cost of decision? I put sometimes monetary value because I sometimes spend money on, like, should I buy €3 socks or should I not buy them? Blah. I mean, the €3 is such a small cost relative to how much I make. I want to kind of minimize time spent on making that decision because, I mean, €3 is just such a small amount of money. It's like a lot of the times I need to factor in this. It's not that relevant, right? To make incorrect decisions, so I can make a snappy decision, right? But to avoid the trap of emotional and like impulsive decision making, you need to use logic, which is your super ego, to compensate for the fact that the ID is no longer. One sec. So you see, we need to use logic to compensate the shortfalls of your emotional decision making, because emotional basically fundamentally just don't work, right? So this is the tool for it, and it's in the Triforce. It's under the decision making guide. Okay. So for simplicity purposes, one sec. So for simplicity purposes, we can say that one side is bad, another side is good, right? So there is a story about it. I'll link this in the description below. But there is like a story about it. So inside of you there is White Wolf and the Black Wolf. The Black Wolf is filled with fear, anger, envy, jealousy, greed, and arrogance. The White Wolf is filled with peace, love, hope, courage, humility, compassion, and faith. They battle constantly. So then, this was a wise man was telling it to the child, and then the child asked, "Hey, wise man, which wolf wins?" And then the wise man said, well, that's simple. The one that you feed the most. Right? So the one that you feed the most. So what does feeding means? It's how you behave. Right? So think about it as think of it as these two guys, right? We can probably use this one's better, right? When you behave more like this guy grows in size and this guy shrinks in size. So over time, what's going to happen is you will basically fuse with this person, and you, like, when you listen how I speak, how I reason, how I talk, I would be 99.9% super ego. I'm already fused with this part. Like, this guy's still there, but he has zero control over me because he's so tiny that even when he does pop up, he just can't do anything because he's so tiny. He has no power, right? And this guy is so large that he kind of... That's how I run my life, right? Most of it is logic, decision making, stuff like that, right? It's long-term thinking. So again, this guy starved to death in my life, and this guy is like overfed, right? So again, which one of them are you? The one that you feed the most. So if you spend most of your time procrastinating, acting the bollocks, drinking, partying, avoiding doing stuff, like all this weird shit that doesn't really help you in the long term, eating like shit, like doing drugs, that's all this part here. Like, you have to understand that this guy is growing, and the bigger he gets and the smaller this guy gets, the harder it is over time to kill him, because eventually you might fuse with this person, and that's how you get like this. Some people just like it's very hard to kind of... It's still possible, but reversing the process is very hard. That's why you have to kind of start chunking him as fast as possible so he shrinks and this guy grows. Because again, remember, the bigger this guy gets, the less control this guy has. Right? So make sure that you are doing the right things, and over time you will be the person that you want to be. Right? And that's it. And I gave you the tools so you can transition from here to here. Okay, so just use the tools and that's it. Okay, take care, bye-bye.